Dear friends, today the human community is facing a kind of racism which has tarnished the image of humanity in the beginning of the third millennium. The word Zionism personifies. The word Zionism personifies racism that falsely resorts to religion and abuse religious sentiments to hide their hatred and ugly faces. However, it is of great importance to bring into focus the political goals of some of the world powers and those who control huge economic resources and interests in the world. They mobilize all their resources, including their economic and political influence and world media, to render support in vain to the Zionist regime and maliciously endeavor to diminish the indignity and disgrace of this regime. This is not simply a question of ignorance, and one cannot conquer these ugly phenomena through cultural campaigns. Efforts must be made to put an end to the abuse by Zionists and their supporters of political and international means, and in respect of the will and aspirations of nations. Governments must be encouraged and supported in their fights aimed at eradicating this barbaric racism and to move towards reforming the current international mechanisms. There is no doubt that you are all aware of the conspiracies of some powers and Zionist circles against the goals and objectives of this conference. Unfortunately, there has been literatures and statements in support of Zionism and their crimes, and it is the responsibility of honorable representatives of nations to disclose these campaigns which run counter to humanitarian values and principles. It should be recognized that boycotting such a session as an outstanding international capacity is a true indication of supporting the blatant example of racism. In defending human rights, it is primarily important to defend the rights of all nations to participate equally in all important international decision-making processes without the influence of certain world powers. And secondly, it is necessary to restructure the existing international organizations and their respective arrangements. Therefore, this conference is a testing ground, and the world public opinion today and tomorrow will judge our decisions and our actions. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, the world is going through fundamental changes, rapid fundamental changes. Power relations have become so weak and fragile. The sound of cracks in the pillars of world oppression can now be heard. Major political and economic structures are at the brink of collapse. Political and security crises are on the rise. The worsening crisis in the world economy, for which there can be seen no bright prospect, amply demonstrate the rising tide of far-reaching global changes. I have repeatedly emphasized the need, the change, the wrong direction through which the world is being managed today. And I have also warned of the dire consequences of any delay in this crucial responsibility. Now, in this august and valuable event, I would like to announce here to all leaders, thinkers, and to all nations of the world present in this meeting, and those who have a hunger for peace, economic well-being, that the management, the inequitable and unjust management of the world is now at the end of the road. This deadlock was inevitable since the logic of this imposed management was oppressive. The logic of collective management of world affairs is based on noble aspirations, which centers on human beings and the supremacy of the Almighty God. Therefore, it defies any policy or plan which goes against the interest of nations. Victory of the right over the wrong and establishment of a just world system have been promised by the Almighty God and His messengers, and it has been a shared goal of all human beings from different societies and generations in the course of history. Realization of such a future depends on the knowledge of the creation and the belief in the hearts of all the faithful.